watching the Bear Pantry Show.
I bet you guys are wondering what's making that sound. It's Evie with her little pig. You guys, when she first got this pig, she was so afraid of it. But now she is controlling it. She waits until 9:30, 10 o'clock at night to get the zoomies and starts running around all through the house playing with her toys. We just let her be. She's not breaking anything. She's having fun, right? So I want to show you guys how I made the cinnamon rolls. Let's take a look at the clip first and I'm going to come back with an explanation. I'm going to start by unwrapping the butter. I'm only using half a stick because I'm only doing half the recipe. The butter is cold from the fridge, but the recipe calls for melted butter anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and nuke this in the microwave, okay? So let me go ahead and take care of the yeast. I've added the yeast to my warm water and then some of the sugar from the allotment of sugar. I'm going to give this a stir and set this aside for about 8 minutes and then take care of the rest of the ingredients. So let me go ahead and crack my 1 egg. This is kind of why I'm doing half the recipe too, guys, because eggs are scarce and expensive. So I have the butter in the microwave melting and I'm measuring out my pudding mix because I don't know how much I'm going to need because I'm doing half the recipe. So I waited and now I'm using a measuring spoon to see how much I need, and I needed 6 tablespoons, okay? Let me set that aside and then add the sugar to the flour. I'm not going to add any salt because the butter is salted. Let me go ahead and beat this 1 egg and then add the pudding mix to cold milk and then give this a stir. I'm going to put the recipe down below, okay, the ingredients and stuff like that. So now the yeast is ready after 8 minutes. Let me go ahead and scrape the bottom of the cup because I want to get all the undissolved sugar, and then add the egg. And next I'm going to add the pudding milk mix. And guess what I forgot to add into this dough, guys? The butter that's melted in the microwave. It's still sitting in the microwave and I totally forgot. 2 minutes after I kneaded this up into a dough ball and covered it up already, Joe found the butter. And then he says, how are you going to get this butter into the dough that's already formed? And I said, well, I'm going to have to use room temperature butter. Leave that melted butter alone for the middle part. Use some room temperature butter to just go ahead and work it into the dough after the fact. I mean, I make some dinner rolls that you do that to anyways, so I figured I could do that. So it rose beautifully, and then I rolled it out into this rectangle, and I'm going to put the filling, which is some brown sugar, the melted butter from the microwave, and some cinnamon. So let me just put some dollops all over, and then I'm going to grab my offset spatula after I get everything here on the dough. And then just spread it out smoothly with the offset spatula, okay? Let me go ahead and grab that now. Look, it spreads so easily and beautifully. After that, you just tuck and roll it tightly, like rolling a towel. And then pinch the seams shut. Then I'm going to grab my bench scraper and use it as a measuring tool to get 1-inch pieces. Just go right along the whole log right here. It's like a log, right? I'm going to get a lot, guys. For half the recipe, I'm going to get quite a bit, but they're going to be like medium sized, okay? So let's cut with the same bench scraper that I used for the measuring tool. Yeah, these look pretty good. It's very satisfying to cut with this tool, and it's very satisfying to watch it being cut. It's almost like ASMR when I'm editing this, guys. So these are going to have to raise again one more time for like 20 minutes, and then I'm going to bake them at 350 for about 20 to 25 minutes, okay? Well, I'm going to put them on a grease baking sheet first, of course, and then bake them at 350 for about 20 to 25 minutes. And when they're done and still warm, I'm going to put some glaze on the top. It's just basically some powdered sugar and some milk, and glaze it like this. So what happened was, I wasn't really making that video as a tutorial. I was just taping snippets to show what I was making when my aunt and them were coming for their visit, right? So I missed a whole bunch of segments in there. Like, I didn't show you guys the dough rising. I didn't show you when I had to go laminate the butter into the dough. The dough was already sitting there 2 minutes, guys. And then Joe opened the microwave and he goes, "What's this for?" And I go, "Oh my God, it's for my dough." and I put it in there early to melt, because when you put the egg in, you don't want, you know, the hot butter to fry the egg, right? Totally forgot it. So I took some softened butter. Thank God I had some softened butter because the day was cold, so I had trouble to get the butter to be softened. And so I opened up the dough and I put some in. It was only half a stick, remember? And I kneaded it, kind of like when you're doing those little Hawaiian dinner rolls. And then I did it again. And I did it in like 3 or 4 increments. Got the dough ball together. It raised the same amount of, it took the same amount of time to raise. And then I just rolled it out into the rectangle, and the thing came out good. I saved the day. Now that melted butter was already hardening again, so that's what I put in the brown sugar to put in the middle of the thing. I didn't show you how to tuck and roll, pinch, tuck and roll. I have videos here at the page on those things already, so sometimes I feel like I don't need to make them again. So I like the way I cut it this time though, because usually I eyeball and I get some big tall ones and then some flat ones. I like the way that I measured and cut it with the thingy. And it came out so lovely. And I really like the glaze, the powdered sugar glaze, better than the cream cheese frosting on top of it. The cream cheese frosting makes it a little bit too rich for me, because it already has all that stuff in the middle. And honestly, for me, when it comes to cinnamon rolls, I like less things in the middle than more. Just a little bit here and there, right? So I always get like the edge ones. That's the ones that I eat. So now, today is the 16th of April, and what I'm doing is making my hot cross buns. So Joe went to the store for me a little while ago to get the coconut milk because I don't want to make it without the coconut milk. I'm going to do 2 kinds. I'm going to do my regular Creole buns for hot cross bun, right? That's what I do hot cross bun out of. That's what Belizeans make hot cross bun out of, Creole bun. And then I'm going to do the one that's called heavy bun. So there's a difference in the texture when you cut the buns. I don't really like the heavy bun so much, but every now and again, I will enjoy a nice piece of it. Is that Evie?
Yeah.
It's Joe. Come in and say hi. Come in and say hi.
Hey, fish.
What fish?
Salmon.
Yes. I think you're talking about that rock fish that's so nasty. Come say hi. Can we do a stew? Can we do a stew?
Yeah. Hello, people. How you doing?
Did they see you? Yeah, that's how you.
I got a knife in my hand. I'm a dangerous man.
You got a knife. You got a knife. Hi, Evie. You came with Grandpa?
I'm cutting up some fish, folks, so...
I'm telling them about the difference between the heavy bun and the regular bun, my regular bun recipe. Do you like the heavy bun?
The heavy bun set on your chest.
It sits on your chest like a man sitting on your chest. But you know what? Every now and again, it's nice, right?
Oh, yeah.
Every now and again, it's made with brown sugar versus my regular bun recipe is not made with brown sugar. And I'm putting raisins in that one because the kids don't like raisins in the bun, so I'm not putting raisins in the other one. So what I'm going to do now is go into the kitchen, and I'm not going to talk. Joe, I know this girl on Facebook, and she's an Italian girl that cooks a lot of meals for her husband. Bend down, then on this, baby. And she doesn't talk. She just cooks, plays music, and it's high production value because you can see her from the back, you see her feet, you see her this, you see different angles. So I think the husband's running the camera for her, and a lot of people are thinking like, oh my God, such a good wife, she's just cooking for the husband. The husband's putting in the labor too with the camera, right? Do that, kaya chamaka, do that. So anyways, she doesn't talk in her cooking videos. I'm gonna stop talking and just let the sound play and play music and just stop talking.
Okay, people.
I feel like that doesn't teach anything though when you don't talk. Because it's like, okay, what are you doing? What did you do there? How much did you put, right?
Some people just like that too, though. I know.
Yeah, so I'm not going to talk because afterwards I'll do a voiceover on that. So you might get 2 recipes in this video. Let's go. Let's start by activating the yeast. So I need some hot water. So I'm touching the water as long as I can touch it, but I can't leave my finger in the stream because I'm going to get burned, and I know it's enough. Between 105 and 115 degrees Fahrenheit for the water. So then I'm adding the yeast and then a little bit of white sugar. I'm going to set this aside for about 8 minutes so that it can foam up, okay? Meanwhile, let's take care of the rest of the ingredients. This recipe would normally do 1 loaf, like the 5x9 loaf. So I have flour, baking powder. I'm packing the sugar, 3/4 cup of sugar. This is in my book that's called The Belizean Cookbook You Need. This is the extra recipe that I put at the back, all right? Because I don't normally make this. So then the cinnamon, raisins, like I said, Look at the little bit of butter. 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon of butter. I'm just mixing everything in well and then adding the butter. Let me get the tablespoon. And then I'm going to work this in. I'm going to pinch the butter into the dry ingredients. Look, I'm heating up the coconut milk in the microwave. And take a look at this shot right here, guys. I go in and then you see me from inside the microwave. I love doing stuff like this for you guys. And the best thing is when you don't see it, but then sometimes I want you guys to see it, right? So this is the vanilla extract. And then the yeast that's foamed up really well. I always want to scrape the bottom because sometimes the sugar doesn't dissolve. And then the hot coconut milk. I only nuked it for 30 seconds, but it's still warm because I think it's because the glass that I heated it up in is small. So just work it in, guys. Kind of turn the dough around in the bowl like if you're using one of those machines, the KitchenAid, right? Turn it around. I'm only adding a little bit of water as needed. So I got everything out the bowl, and then now I'm going to dump it onto the countertop and just knead until it's smooth. Add flour accordingly and just turn it and knead it, okay? Shape it into a round ball, and then normally I put it back in the same bowl, but I realize the bowl is kind of big, so I'm just going to go ahead and put it in a smaller bowl, and then I'm going to wash that bowl and use it for the next loaf. And this is exactly what I did, but in my editing sequence, this is butter that I'm putting on top. In my editing sequence, I'm going to go ahead and show you how I take care of this bun, okay? So this one is risen. I actually re-knead this second, but I'm going to show you it now because I want it to stay in sequence. So I'm re-kneading it. Like I said, normally this would be one loaf, a round one, or a 5 by 9, but I'm going to cut this into 4 small ones, okay? So in half first. I'm feeling it to see if they're the same size, more or less. Then I took one piece, cut it into half again. All right. Now I have to cut off a little piece of one and roll it into 2 long strips for the crosses, okay? Well, for the 1 cross for this bun. But you're going to do it for every piece. So 2 pieces of the dough, like strips. Then I'm going to roll this one into a ball. Pinch the bottom shut. I'm reshaping it, guys. I didn't like the way it came out, so I'm reshaping it. Pinch the bottom shut. I'm showing both cameras what I'm doing. Press it, and then grab one of the strips and put it like this so it can tuck underneath the bun, and then put the other one. All right? And there you have your cross. So let's do one more. Cut the little piece off. Cut the piece in 2. I need more. Put it together. Then I made the strips already. Shape the bun and then put it on top like this. Alright, so I'm going to have 4. I put them on a greased baking sheet and then I bake them at 325 until goldeny brown. And then I put some sugar water on top. Now let's take care of the other one. So I'm doing the hot water again, and I grab about half a cup or 4 ounces. I'm going to do the same thing again with the yeast. This time I'm going to use some sugar from the allotment of sugar because this one calls for only white sugar, okay? The other bun called for brown sugar. So let's put the yeast and then some of the white sugar from the allotment of sugar. Set this aside to foam up, and then we're going to take care of the rest. Here comes the all-purpose flour. Now the amount that I'm making would make 2 loaves. So because I'm going to have a guest tomorrow and I want to give them some hot cross buns, so I'm making some more. So you saw me put the baking powder and the cinnamon. Working all the dry ingredients. I'm not going to put any raisins because my kids don't like raisins inside of stuff. They just like raisins by themselves. I walked away for a little while and it almost foamed up too much, guys. Let me get everything out of my measuring cup and then work it in. And then my coconut milk is warm. It's 6 ounces because I'm making more, right? After using all the coconut milk, all I have to do is add water accordingly. Little bit at a time for the water. Work the dough around so that everything can cling, right? Just work it around the bowl. I'm glad I found these bowls when my dad shut down the house and sold the house and moved home to Belize. My mom had these bowls as a 4-set and I got them. I'm so glad I have these. I'm trying to get all that yeast that spilled on the counter there. Well, not on the counter, but on my little baking thing, my mat. Put some flour and just work it back and forth. It's always good to stop and wash your hands because you get all the stickiness off of your hand and you can knead better. Put some more flour. Let me turn the camera down so you guys can see what I'm doing. I have it up on top of the Rosarita refried beans tin. You know, my monopod. Now I drop the camera down on the counter so you can see this angle. I want to show you guys behind the scenes as I'm doing it too, okay? Make it into a ball. Put it into a bowl and then we go grab another bowl out of the 4-set. And then put some butter, a bit of butter. This is just a good policy to do with any type of bread, guys. Some breads don't need it, but I'm kind of doing it with all the breads now. I'm showing you that I have another camera running. Shorts. I'm going to make these into shorts. So this is ready, and this was ready before the first bun, but just a little bit before, just a smidge before. I'm having a really good day today with the breads raising, okay? So 2, I'm going to cut this one into 4. So we get 4 small ones, and I'm going to leave the other piece and make them 2 larger ones, okay? So cut off the piece, cut it into 2, make the shoestrings, the strips. You can also use a rolling pin to make these flat, but I like them to have like a little 3D effect, right? You can also not do this part and just make an icing to make the cross like the way I did for the photo shoot for my book. See? I just needed a better image that would come up in the book, you know? So roll it, squish it, grab the strip, make sure it's long enough. Jada's behind me cooking her entire meal, guys. Alright, put this piece. This one's done. Set it aside. I'm showing all the cameras. Get a little piece off. Do the same thing again. And I'm going to have to do this with 6 little buns. Well, 4 little ones and 2 medium-sized ones, okay? Alright. Let me roll this one into a ball. Jada's telling Evie something. She's dancing with Evie. So every time you're making it into a ball, if it's not shaping correctly for you, just redo it. Okay? Put this strip, put the next strip. And there all of them are. I'm squishing them to let them relax. I'm going to grab one of my big cookie sheets or baking sheets and grease it. And all of these are going to fit. Okay? The 4 small ones and the 2 medium ones, they're all going to fit. I'm going to cover them up and let them rise for about 45 minutes or so. Well, let me put some butter on top. And then these also bake at 325 degrees Fahrenheit, just like the first set of buns. And they bake until they're brown. Okay? And then afterwards, I'm going to put some sugar and water and brush it on top. And now it's time to cut the buns. I want to cut the light one and the heavy one so you can see the texture. But before I do that, I want to show you guys a clip that I taped the other day and I couldn't put it in the other video because it didn't flow with the storyline, okay? I want to show you a skirt, a jean skirt that I did years ago. And I want to show you how I did the bottom part and what all I'm going to do with the rest of the fabric. Take a look at this. Here's another skirt that I made a while back, but that time I used 2 pairs of jeans to do it. So at first it was a maxi skirt, so it's all the way down to my ankles. And I used the second pair of jeans for the pant leg to put in between. Later on I cut it to a short skirt, so I still had the piece in between. Then I put this ruffles underneath. See, the back is the same way, and if you can see, I hand sewed everything that time. Maybe we didn't have a sewing machine at the time. And I put the ruffles on, see? And the remaining material from the 2 pairs of jeans. See, this was 1 pair, it's darker, this pair is lighter. The remaining material, I put this on the bottom, and then I put a blouse, a pre-made blouse on the top. And I had it that way for years. But then when I cleaned out my closet a few days ago, I ripped that blouse off the top. And I have this whole bottom piece now. This time, see, the blouse had a zipper. This time I'm going to have Joe sew it with the sewing machine because this is all hand sewn. I'll have him sew it together with the sewing machine. And then I'll figure something to do with the waist, like to put some kind of band or something, elastic, I don't know. Maybe again a zip, I don't know. And then on the bottom, because it's going to be super short now, I can put maybe a wider layer of ruffles like this, and then a narrow layer like this. Like a wide layer and then a narrow layer. But it'll be just 2 layers. If not, I'll do pleats. I've never done pleats, but hey, this is how we learn, right? With stuff that we were going to throw out. Isn't that cool what I did with the skirt, guys? So Evie has been giving trouble all day today. She didn't want to take a nap. She's going outside, banging the door. So the grandpa, what did you do to her? You scolded her?
Scolded.
Huh? You scolded her and told her to go to her bed, right? And so she has her back turned. She's on timeout. Joe, can you come run camera so I can show the buns, baby? Thank you, baby. Let's put on a light. So this is the light ones or the regular ones. These are the 2 medium size ones. And these are the 4 small ones. And then turn behind you right here, Joe. Oh, I think I need a light. Hold on. Hold on, guys. These are the heavy ones. Remember, I got 4 small ones, right? So I'm going to take one. Let me take the smallest one. What do you think?
What you gonna do?
Take to just cut it. Cut this one?
One.
I'm going to cut this one because it busted. Okay. So if I want to give these away, these are perfect. So I'm going to grab, let me use a piece of this cutting board right here. Let me use this knife. Let me cut another piece. Alright, let me grab one of the lighter ones. Just a little bit difference in the texture. This one didn't come out bad at all. Didn't come too heavy at all, guys. See? This one's more brown because of the brown sugar, but this one has a heaviness about it, and this one's way lighter. Let's break it and see. It needs one thing. Butter. This onion is here. I don't think he's aiming the camera at me at all. I'm gonna be like Auntie Fee. On me.
Do you want me to put it off you?
Look, Josh, look, Josh, look, Josh. I wish I had 2 cameras going so you could see Joshua's face like she crazy.
This is the Beth Andrews Show.
Do you guys like my little hat? You like the bling? Joe's mom made this for me years ago. She was selling them. And then she made one for me as a gift. So I know that I lost the earring in the street because the Ring doorbell showed that I had it in when I left on the walk on Monday. And then the next camera showed that I didn't have it in when I got back. So it's not in the house, but you guys asked some really pertinent questions. And it caused me to go back and roll back the tape. So I'm going to keep my eyes peeled. Josh, are you going to keep your eyes peeled?
I'm already peeled.
Josh is I love my son so much. He's all like, I'll help you, Mom. I don't think
I
I'll...
know that sucks of this thing. Remember when I lost that screwdriver bit?
Yeah.
I had to look in the camera to find it.
Do you remember when Daddy lost his hearing aids?
Was it
that one time?
Was it that?
It was 2 hearing aids that he just had in his hand and then it disappeared.
Huh.
It was in the grass on the front lawn. And it was the cameras
Yeah.
that we rolled back the tape and we saw Daddy drop something from his hand. And then we went to go look in that location and we found the hearing aids. So I feel like I still had them in around this bend right here.